This is going to be the laziest oil change ever. We got here a tiny little pump and we're going to suck everything out the top. Once everything's out, we're going to go underneath and just confirm that it's empty.
By the end of this video, you will think I'm a total hypocrite. Now, I am using a thicker than recommended oil, but before I tell you why, let me prove to you that you do not need 13.2 quarts of oil to do this oil change. In fact, you really only need about 12.
So we're going to prove that sucking all the oil up the top through the dipstick hole really does get everything. And we're going to check underneath at the end to confirm all the oil is actually out. Here we go. This is what the electrical setup looks like. The positive is of course going to the jumper point right here, and the negative is sitting right on the chassis ground. So positive, negative, that gets this thing going with one switch. We're dropping her into the hole here. And we're just gonna make sure she gets all the way in. Got plenty of space here, plenty of wire length. And of course this baby's going right here. Okay, we pumped for like 10-15 minutes and all we got out was like a quart. So we're gonna go the old-fashioned way and go underneath.
Now, I wasn't going to recommend this silly little pump anyway, just because it's really loud and noisy. But now I'm really not going to recommend it, just because it can't pick up thick oil.
Super sludgy, so I imagine maybe the oil's a little too thick or I didn't warm it up properly, because I have used this pump before on my small car and it worked pretty damn well. This, I don't know though. I don't know why it's taking so long. Okay, I don't know if you can see this coming out there, but it is so thick and sludgy. The oil's just not moving. So I definitely didn't warm it up properly, and I definitely overestimated just how thick it is there. You can kind of see the bead of oil coming through there. That is just so thick. I don't believe it. It's taking like an hour just to drain this oil out. Here's some undeniable proof that you really only get out about 12 quarts. These are single-gallon milk cartons. 1, 2, and this is the third one filling up right there. And it's just about done. It's been dripping for like 20 minutes or so. And once this fills up, we're gonna have exactly 12 quarts. So be careful out there. Do not overfill your oil. Now, I know it always says 13.2 in the owner's manual, but if I put more than 3 of these in, this is barely 12 quarts right here, just a smidge under 12. If I put any more than this, and if that, I'm going to get that oil is too high light on the dash when I'm on freeway speeds, and that oil really warms up and expands. Remember, heated up oil is about a half quart or so larger in volume when you're dealing with this much. When you're dealing with about 13 quarts, you're looking at about 5% or so increase in volume. And that is meaningful in this case. Just remember, do your best not to overfill, and only check your oil when the engine's warm, not cold. Alright, this right here is the last trickle. You see that little bit coming out? That's it. So we got about a quarter quart more. About 12 1/4 if you add all of these up. These aren't entirely full, just because I was being cautious. I didn't want to overflow. So yeah, about 12 quarts, no more.
You may want to add about half a quart more if you're changing the filter as well.
All right, we took 12 and a little bit quarts out, so you better believe I'm only putting 12 and a little bit quarts back in.
Now, you may have noticed that the oil I'm putting back in does not meet the coveted Mercedes-Benz oil spec of approval. You know what I'm talking about, the one I discuss in videos like this, and this, and this. Now, I have two reasons as to why I broke the rules here. One is that thicker engine oil has the potential to offer better wear protection at the sacrifice of fuel economy. And well, I guess you could say I'm a little more partial to the wear protection as opposed to bragging about my miles per gallon, although I do that as well. Secondly, and this is the most important reason, is that there are very few differences now between modern diesels, especially in terms of their emissions burden. Now, I've discussed before as to why using MB spec oil isn't just to protect your Mercedes engine, but it's largely to protect your damn emission system. So I'm doing just a few experiments now, where I'm using much cheaper oils that do still meet slightly less stringent standards, such as the American Petroleum Institute's diesel standard of API CK4, as well as a slightly stricter standard set out by Cummins Motors. Now, diesel Cummins engines are more like Sprinter engines than they would ever care to admit. Why am I doing this? Well, MB spec oil can be $30 to $40 per gallon, while these oils that still meet the stringent diesel standards may go for closer to $20 per gallon. And if you're anything like me and stick to 5,000 to 6,000 mile oil intervals, then you may also like to cut unnecessary costs. But hang on a second, do I recommend that you do this? Absolutely not. I'm doing this experiment so that you don't have to, and you will see me doing oil analysis along the way. Okay, so there's that reason, but there's also the fact that it's nearly impossible to find this kind of oil spec here in the United States. So tell me, am I a total hypocrite for telling you to do one thing while I do the opposite? Well, kinda, but also just remember, I can fix anything on this silly little van, and you can't. Well, at least not yet. But watch a few more of these videos and you'll be well on your way. Now, someone asked a while ago as to why I'm recommending oil for a gas engine to be used on a diesel Sprinter van. And the truth is, European oil specs are a little more complicated than that, in that some oils are recommended for small diesels and gas engines alike. But if you don't want to go off of the fancy MB229 standard, then you're welcome to use the MB228 variants, which is more geared for heavy-duty commercial diesels. And if you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, that's okay. Here is a crazy long deep dive into choosing the right oil for your van. And here is a more condensed, quick reference to help you identify the right specs in store. And as always, don't you dare forget, fix your own damn van.